Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? All right, y'all, it is Super Bowl week, and we're going to talk to plenty of you guys this week who have played in, coached in, won, lost Super Bowls, and excited to talk to former Saint Scott Shanle, of course, part of the 2009 Super Bowl championship team with the New Orleans Saints. Has been a great friend of ours on the show for a lot of years. Scott, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing good.
How fresh is it in your mind when you think back to Super Bowl week in, I guess, into January and February of 2010?
Oh, it's extremely fresh. I was just talking about that the other day with somebody about how it certainly doesn't feel like it's been almost 15 years. I mean, we're at year 14, and it feels like it was last year. It really does, and I think probably because that moment was so special and just the feeling that you got from that moment, it was just seared into your brain, and that's a good thing because you wish you could bottle that feeling up and just kind of open the top of the bottle and take a sip of it every now and then, because there was nothing like it. And I think for those reasons, it just seems like it was yesterday. It really does.
When you watch teams, like so on Monday when the Chiefs and the Niners both arrive in Las Vegas, like, can you tell, or Sunday, I guess, like, can you tell how they're handling it, having gone through it before?
I think, it's difficult because I was fortunate enough to be with one team who made the Super Bowl. And so that team I was on, that team was a unique team. Probably not the most talented Saints team I was on. I think you can make the argument that 2011 we were probably more talented, better football players. But when we went down to Miami, it's an easy place, just like Las Vegas, where you can find yourself into trouble if you want to. You can find yourself keeping yourself busy away from football if you want to. And it was a credit to our team. Like, we all said we can go to as many Super Bowls as we want when we're old and retired. Like, this is a business trip. We're going down to win a football game. And the focus of our team was immense. It was incredible. I always told the story about Tracy Porter, how he was a young kid who could have been out in Miami and South Beach. And every time you walk by the meeting room, the kid's in there watching film. And he ended up making the biggest play in the Super Bowl in Saints history. So, it's one of those things where I don't know if I can tell based on what the Chiefs are doing or what the 49ers are doing, because the team I was on was super special as far as the focus we had.
I remember reading Sean Payton's book after that Super Bowl as well, Scott, and he talked about, bringing Ornstein there, who kind of helped with all the accommodations, and the Saints accommodations compared to the Colts accommodations, like, were just so much better for New Orleans. And it just remember, like, hearing those types of stories and how that made the week play out easier for you all. Can you speak to that a little bit, like, if that rings a bell?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And another question that I always get is, what are those 2 weeks like leading up to Super Bowl? And Sean did a great job of letting us know. In these 2 weeks, the first week, we're going to go through some walkthroughs in New Orleans, and this is the time where you get all your arrangements handled, the tickets, all the questions your family has for you. Where are we staying? What are we doing? What's the plan? Like, all those questions need to be answered. As soon as we get on the plane to go to Miami to play in a Super Bowl, it's business week. It's Monday. It's Tuesday is going to be the media day, which is normally players' day off, and then it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, normal practice routine. And so we had a great plan as far as that went, and nothing felt out of the ordinary. At times it was like, man, are we even out of our normal routine? It never felt like that, and that's a credit to Sean and everything he did, and Ornstein being along and setting up the hotel, the meals we had, the game rooms we had, just things that they did that went above and beyond that I think made it feel like home.
Scott Shanle is with us. I want to ask you about two plays in that game in particular. I think every conversation about that Super Bowl 44, people begin with ambush, right? The onside kick to start the second half. Do you remember, because my assumption here is that Sean Payton knew in the locker room, right, we're starting the second half with ambush. Do you remember your reaction whenever he told the team that was going to happen?
No, I do. I can go back a step further. We were in practice. We kept working on onside kick. And I remember saying to Sean, I'm like, man, you have no confidence in us. Like, we're not going to need an onside kick. We're going to win this game. Like, joke with him. He looks at me. He's like, no, this isn't for the end of the game. And I was like, okay, all right. And so that's all he said. And then at halftime, early in the game, the way it was going, they had us on our heels quite a bit. And they had a chance to go up 14-0 right out the gate. And I think all the momentum to Sean's credit, Sean was great at measuring the pulse of a team, knowing what to say, when to say, how to say, all those things. But he had that same pulse for knowing what to do in game. And he felt that momentum swinging to us right into the halftime, going in there for that half hour. And when he told us he was going to come out and run ambush to start the second half, everybody was on board. There was no doubt, because I think, a credit to him, he felt like the momentum was in our favor.
Obviously, it worked out. And the biggest play, as you mentioned, was Tracy Porter's interception. It's funny, we just pulled up a picture of Porter in the end zone, and it's this great end zone shot, and you're running right behind Tracy Porter. Walk me through that play through your eyes.
We had a man-to-man coverage on with the blitz, and Fajita and I it was a cross dog where we're crisscrossing and blitzing, and I think one of us or both of us maybe got a hand on Manning, but got in his face. He was getting rid of the ball quick because of the pressure, and the one thing Greg Williams always did was brought pressure. But all those things aside, it was a huge testament to Tracy. Tracy knew that as a young player, we're bringing pressure. This quarterback's going to have to get rid of it quick. He's not going to have time to double move me, so I may as well jump anything. As soon as I see him break, I'm going to jump it. And it was just a great job, great play call, great job by Tracy with his film study and knowing exactly what he was going to get, and what he was chopping limbs off the tree as far as I don't have to play anything deep. And as soon as you saw Tracy intercept that ball, it was like there's nobody catching him, and I'm going to sprint as fast as I can to get in this celebration, because it was that feeling of running that 50, 60 yards down the field following Tracy is it's like running on air, like you feel weightless, like you're cloud nine. It was unbelievable.
I think everyone in New Orleans and every Saints fan in existence felt that as well as that play was. It was a where were you when moment forever. Which is so cool. You just happen to be on the field. Scott Shanle's with us for a couple of more minutes. Hey, real quick, I have two things. One, how has this might be a little introspective, but how has winning a Super Bowl changed your life?
It's been like it's hard to wrap that up in just a couple minutes. I mean, every time I do interviews, come on with people in the media, national, local, wherever, you're preceded with Super Bowl champion, and it just changes your life. I mean, you always have that experience, whether it's you going back and look at the pictures this time of year, especially when they're showing all the past Super Bowls, when the networks are showing previous Super Bowl winners and their stories, and the iconic picture of Drew with his son and Coach Payton on people's shoulders, pumping his fist with that trophy. It's just like, you dream forever to be a part of that. When you're a young kid and you're working to try to play college football, and then you're trying to get to the NFL, and you're just hopeful to stick around the NFL long enough to do something like that. And then I think finally to do it with the type of players and the guys we did it with, it was just such a special group of people. And then to do it for a city, a state, and a region that nobody else would have appreciated it the way New Orleans, Louisiana, and the Gulf region appreciate a Super Bowl. So I think because of that, it's changed my life even more so than had I won a Super Bowl in Dallas or wherever.
Great perspective as always, man. Hey, before you go, do you have a feeling on Sunday with the Niners and Chiefs?
Yeah, it's interesting because I could have swore Baltimore would beat the Chiefs. I liked Baltimore, but the Chiefs, their defense is just playing so good right now. The 49ers have not impressed me a whole lot. The 49ers, we kind of have this image in our head that they control the line of scrimmage, but they really don't. And Detroit got after them a lot, and I really think it's hard to go against Mahomes. I would go Kansas City if somebody made me pick a team. I just hope for a great game, but it's hard to go against Mahomes, Kelsey, and that defense.
He is Scott Shanle. He is Super Bowl champion, Scott Shanle. Always good enough to give us a couple of minutes of his time, man. Thanks for the visit, as always. Enjoy the game on Sunday.
Absolutely. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.